This is horrible. This is painful. And this is humiliating for any human being.
Something about Amber Heard's return to the spotlight feels complicated. After years of silence following one of the most polarizing trials in modern celebrity history, Amber has re-emerged, not in a movie, but in a documentary premiering at Sundance. And this time, she isn't revisiting the past the way people expected. Instead, she's framing herself alongside other women who claim they were silenced by powerful forces, comparing her experience to figures like Blake Lively and arguing that defamation lawsuits are being weaponized to erase women's voices entirely. But here's where the discomfort sets in, because while Amber insists this documentary isn't about her, she's also saying Hollywood has blacklisted her, that she no longer has a voice, and that speaking out only made things worse. So the question isn't just what Amber Heard is saying now, it's why this version of the story is resurfacing, and why now? Is this a long overdue attempt to reclaim her narrative, or a carefully chosen moment to reframe one of the most publicly litigated scandals of the decade? Because once you look at how this documentary positions her and what it leaves unsaid, the comeback doesn't feel simple at all. And that's where this story really begins.
Many people who have watched this trial have found some of Amber Heard's testimony to be a bit over the top.
I hope no one ever has to go through something like this.
The jury has to decide, is this someone that's being forthright with us, or is this someone that is just performing for us?
Now, as I am sure we all know, Amber Heard isn't your typical Hollywood actress. If anything, she is one of the most polarizing public figures of the past decade. Her legal battles with Johnny Depp weren't just headline news, they became a global spectacle.
I receive hundreds of death threats regularly.
Johnny doesn't deserve this!
People want to put my baby in the microwave. They tell me that every single day.
That trial was dissected in real time by the public, the media, and ultimately a jury that ruled against her. Since then, she's existed under relentless scrutiny, criticism, and debate. So when Silenced premiered at Sundance, a documentary centered on women allegedly muted by defamation lawsuits, Amber's inclusion immediately raised eyebrows. The film, directed by Selena Miles and co-produced by international human rights lawyer Jennifer Robinson, explores how powerful men allegedly weaponize defamation suits to intimidate women who speak about abuse. It features several women, including journalists and activists. But Amber Heard's presence dominates the conversation, not just because of who she is, but because of who helped shape the narrative. Jennifer Robinson, who actively assisted her during her legal battles, is directly involved in the documentary. That alone adds a complicated layer to Amber's participation, blurring the line between advocacy, storytelling, and image rehabilitation. And then there's Amber herself. In the documentary, she states, "I have lost my ability to speak. I am not here to tell my story. I don't want to tell my story anymore." Yet she's saying this while sitting for a confessional interview in a high-profile Sundance documentary after maintaining a very visible online presence with over 5 million Instagram followers, and while publicly defending other celebrities, including Blake Lively. That contradiction is impossible to ignore. For many viewers, the question isn't whether women can be silenced by powerful systems. That conversation is valid and ongoing. The controversy lies in who is making the claim, how it's being framed, and why this platform was chosen. Because when someone says they have no voice, yet continues to speak loudly, publicly, and globally, the audience is left wondering whether this is about being silenced or about reclaiming control of the narrative. And that tension is exactly why Amber Heard's appearance in Silenced isn't just controversial, it's explosive. And this is where the conversation really fractures, because depending on who you ask, Amber Heard is either reclaiming her narrative or rewriting it. Almost immediately, viewers and commentators push back on the idea that she's been silenced. For many, this doesn't read as survival. It reads as a strategy. The frustration comes from a belief that Heard continues to frame herself as the victim without fully reckoning with the testimony, evidence, and jury verdict that played out in real time during the trial. And to critics, that repetition, the same framing, the same language, feels less like healing and more like avoidance. And you know, people on the internet didn't shy away from letting their opinion on Amber Heard's comments known. She has no shame. Please don't give her platform. We have enough. The only impact it proved was that Amber is a delusional clown. Amber should stay silent, please. The world heard her on those tapes. She is not the victim she portrayed herself to be. Amber Heard, nobody likes you, cause you lie. And these comments were just the few nice ones that I could find. Many people went for the jugular when they heard about Amber getting involved in this documentary. The reason we keep comparing them to each other is because Amber Heard, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Jada Pinkett Smith, they all share traits of narcissists. Once you expose narcissists, you realize they're all the same. POS, trying to control the narrative, be the abusers, gaslight, victim blame, etc.
Like, girl, stop playing victim. Just move on with your life and do something else and build something else and take accountability, you know, the things that regular people are supposed to do. But no, Amber Heard can never do that. She's always got to bang the victim drum and eternally say she was misunderstood, even though we saw it all with our own eyes at the trial where you lied.
And this is where the conversation shifts, because before we even talk about documentaries, narratives, or having a voice, we have to rewind to the moment public opinion turned into something far darker. During the Depp trial, Amber Heard wasn't just facing legal scrutiny. She was walking into open hostility. Crowds gathered outside the courthouse, some dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow, shouting insults, throwing trash, and turning the trial into a spectacle. Heard says she initially believed the backlash would prove her point, that a woman speaking out would naturally face resistance.
This is humiliating for any human being to go through. Even just walking into this courtroom, I receive hundreds of death threats.
However, what Amber didn't expect was just how brutal it would become, or how completely the public would turn on her. And that public scorn didn't end with the verdict. It followed her into every interview, every appearance, and now even into this new documentary, which raises the bigger question the film is pushing us to wrestle with. Where does accountability end, and where does public punishment begin? Let's be clear about the facts. After the 2022 trial, Amber Heard's career faced a near total collapse. No major projects since 2023, a reported move abroad, a professional exile. Johnny Depp, conversely, saw a dramatic reputational and career rehabilitation, yet she now emerges as a central figure in a documentary titled, ironically, Silenced, a project that critiques the very weaponization of defamation lawsuits she faced. This is where the public's deep skepticism takes root. It's not about dismissing the serious issue the documentary highlights, the terrifying power of litigation to crush accusers. The issue is the messenger. Heard's involvement creates a profound contradiction. It forces the conversation into a divisive binary. You must either fully believe her victimhood or fully condemn her as a liar. It risks overshadowing the systemic issue with the noise of her personal credibility crisis. Her story has become a cautionary tale about narrative itself. It demonstrates how, in our current media ecosystem, the story about the story can become more powerful than the truth. Heard attempted to navigate a high-stakes public battle using the tools of media and victim advocacy, but the foundation of her own narrative was catastrophically undermined in court. The result is a spectacular implosion that serves as a stark lesson. In the age of social media trials, perception is fragile, and authenticity is the only currency that doesn't hyperinflate. And so, the story of Amber Heard leaves us not with an answer, but with a question that echoes far beyond any one courtroom or headline. It asks us, where does the line exist between being a victim of a system and a casualty of your own narrative? Can both be true at once? The evidence presented in court painted one picture. Her continued advocacy paints another. The public remains fractured, and perhaps that fracture is the most telling part of all. It reveals how deeply our perception of victimhood, credibility, and justice is shaped by the stories we choose to believe and the messengers we choose to trust. Her story forces a necessary, uncomfortable uncomfortable conversation about the power of defamation lawsuits to silence and the equal power of media to distort. It's a hall of mirrors where truth and performance become indistinguishable. So I leave this with you. In your view, does Amber Heard represent a voice tragically suppressed by a legal and media machine? Or is hers the ultimate cautionary tale about the perils of inauthenticity in the digital age? The comments are yours. This isn't a topic with a simple verdict. It's a discussion about narrative power and where we, as an audience, draw the line. I'm genuinely curious to hear where you land.